Now we are going to turn to describing how we compute the competitive equilibrium. So remember that what we're doing here is we're going to pull together the behavior of consumers and the behavior of firms. And for it to be an equilibrium, we have to ensure that their behavior is consistent with each other. So the first thing we're going to do is impose market clearing, which just says that the supply of labor equals the demand for labor. And then we can write output just as y equals z f k n. Remember, before we had an nd there, but now this is equilibrium n. Now, when n is equal to h, then that means that people are working all the time and they're consuming no leisure at all. And in this case, output is at its maximum. So we just put in here, this means that they are working 24 hours a day. And we can then plot output as a function of hours of labor employed. Now this looks a lot like the production function that we've plotted before. We have output up here, and we have hours down here. But remember that this economy produces two kinds of goods. It produces output, which is what is showing up here on this vertical axis, and it also produces leisure. So if we substitute the time constraint, so we have that n equals h minus L, and we put that into the production function, we now are going to have an expression that involves the two goods that this economy produces, output goods and leisure goods. So these are the two endogenous variables in this economy, and they are functions of the exogenous things, which include technology, the existing capital stock, and the total time endowment. We can now plot this equation in YL space, and this will just show up as a mirror image of the production function. And so what we have down here is on this horizontal axis, we have leisure. So you may not be able to see this very well. That's L. And on the vertical axis, we have Y. Now this should look a lot like something that you've seen in micro, which is a production possibilities frontier. And what we've plotted here, these 2 points, Y star is going to be the point where nobody is consuming any leisure, so L is equal to 0, or N is equal to H, and that's the maximum output that you can get. And then way down here on the other end, here we have that L equals H, so people are consuming all of their time in the form of leisure, but then you can't produce any goods, so output is equal to 0.